I te whanau Tutawake, te whanau a Tuahiawa, Ngati Paeakau. Kia koutou ngā whanaunga mā. He mihi, he mihi, he mihi nia kia koutou. Today I want to discuss our hapu, the lands that make up the rohe of Ngati Paeakau, and the validity and history of the Marae Committee, the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust. In my opinion, the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust does not have any legal standing in the administration of the land block that we know as Whitianga 9B1 Tutawake Meeting House. And I'll go through our land blocks and the reasons why I believe that. But at the outset, I want to say this, because some of the things I will disclose today may well upset a few people. But I can tell you now, I have no suspicion, zero suspicion, that anyone of our hapu who's been involved in any committees, the trusts, have set out to self-profit and enrich themselves. But yes, there are some conflicts and issues that I believe need to be resolved. So anyway, let me switch over to my shared screen and the PowerPoint presentation that I have. Okay, there we go. There's the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust, a lawful entity. I don't believe it is. Now, for those of you who don't know that much, you may be members of Ngati Paeakau, but you don't know that much about who and what we are. The area circled there that's what I believe to be essentially the rohe of Ngati Paeakau. That land, from Marae Nui through almost to Omaio and inland somewhat. That's it there in yellow down here. You have Torere, Potiki down here, Te Kaha up here. And a closer look on that. Those are all the lines there are the actual legal land blocks, okay? And again, the yellow, but rough drawing. But anyway, that's pretty much what I believe to be comprising the entity or of the land holdings of Whitianga, of our hapu. And here's another shot, compliments of Mr. Google. There's our marae at the top there, inside that space there, and over here is our urupa at Tokata. And down here is the Motu River. This here shows the land holdings of the Whitianga land blocks, land block 1 all the way down to land block 17. There's a total of 1,118.9 hectares. That's quite a lot of land. Of course, most of it's in forest. Some of it's productive, some of it not so productive. But that's how much land comprises the Whitianga land blocks. Now, from the Māori Land Court online records, I'll quickly go through these slides here. But each of those land blocks, for example, you can find these online. This one here is 9B1. So in the yellow encircled is the land of which the marae, the Tutawake Rangataitai are sitting on. Okay, and it comprises 0.5187 of a hectare. So that's the land. The legal description is Whitianga 9B1 Tutawake Meeting House. Then we have 9B2, which is the land next door, where Auntie Balu and Uncle Peti lived for many years. Along the highway there, I think that's probably where Horowai was living at one stage, Whitianga 9B3A. That's that. I think many people access down to the Whitianga Bay through there. Now 9B3B is a huge area of 324.8 hectares. There you can see the marae. The marae is not included in that land, but Tokata, the urupa, is in the far eastern side of that big land block encircled by yellow. Okay. And there's Whitianga 1, just as you come around the bend before you head on down, when you can see the marae, that's the block there. Whitianga 2 block, that's the other side of the gully, bit where Uncle Bill used to live once upon a time, that little cutout there. And then further along the highway, Whitianga 4, I'm not sure, I think that possibly where Whiripare lives, but I'm not really sure. In Whitianga 5 is next to number 4. Whitianga 6 is across the road from Whitianga 4 and 5 blocks. Whitianga 7, let me go back to 7. Whitianga 7, now, that's a very big block here, to give you an idea where it is. There's the marae land there, is the Urupā here. So that's a very large block of 342 hectares. So as you heading up around Ngati on your right hand side all the way inland there, that's where that block is, before you get to Amaio. Whitianga 8 is another large block, just before number 7, I think it is, and that's how many? That's 71 hectares. Whitianga 16 is as you're coming along the river there. 17, also a large block of 71 hectares alongside the river. Now, so those are the descriptions you can find online from Māori Land Court. Now, each of those land blocks are supposed to have administrators or a management structure. The reality is a lot of them don't. In fact, as you'll see here, 9 of them don't. But you look at, one of the problems is there are 9 blocks that have no formally appointed administrators, at least according to the Māori Land Court records. But those that do, here, like you have 1 here, has administrators, block 4 has administrators. Most of these administrators haven't met for years. In fact, some of them will never meet because they're all deceased. Okay, but here are the current legal administrators, and you know, there's quite a number as we go through them that are deceased. But you know, let's move up to where we go. You know, 9B1, that's the marae. The administrators there, and these are the people that have the legal administrative rights over the marae according to the Māori Land Court. That's Robin Hinanui Kupa, Kiriwera Delamere, who, as we all know, Kiriwera passed away last year, Larry Delamere, Monita Delamere, Paul Delamere, Con Jones, Danny Pohipi, and Margaret Robson. Those, the ones who are still alive, 4, 5, 6, 7, they are the legal administrators of the land block Whitianga 9B1 Tutawake Meeting House Māori Reservation. We look at some other blocks here, 9B3B, that's where the Urupā is. The active administrators, again, Kiriwera, who's passed on, but the others that who are there, Alice McLean, Alice is still here. Hera Paeakau, cousin Sarah, she passed away last year. Heather Thompson and Moana Waititi. So of the 5 administrators, and those same people were supposed to be on the Whitianga Trust, the Whanau Trust. 2 of them, have passed away. There's only 3 of them alive, but they are the legal authorities over that land block. And so those are all there. Okay, and you can see blocks 12, 15, 16, 17 do not have any administrators. You know, and I see one of them there, 14, Uncle Bill is an administrator. Of course, Uncle Bill, and 13 to 14 passed away some time ago. So where does that leave us? So who makes up our hapu. The hapu Ngati Paeakau, te whanau Tutawake, te whanau Tuahiawa. As I said earlier on, in my opinion, the people with the legal authority mandate to administer Whitianga 9B1, on which our wharenui Tutawake and our whare kairangi te taitaia are sitting, are the 7 trustees that are still alive, that are there. Robin, Monita, Paul, Margaret, Con, Larry, and Danny. Yeah, so for me, who are our hapu? As I've made clear at other forum, for me, our hapu are the descendants of kohi. Now, not everyone agrees with me. Some say they're the descendants of Pete Taha. Well, we're all descendants of Pete Taha, that's for sure, given she's the mother of kohi. However, Pete Taha had a number of other children who primarily go back to other marae, other hapu. But anyway, whether it's kohi or Pete Taha, that point we'll sort out one of these days, I guess, at a hapu hui. Now, there are some that believe that the descendants of the original block owners, all those blocks I showed you, number 1 through to 17, they have hundreds of owners. There's probably thousands who haven't even succeeded to their title. I see in some case one block there, in fact, Whitianga 9B1. My grandmother, Tuariki Delamere, is the shareholder, 24 shares. She's got one of the biggest shareholdings of the lot. But my father, my Uncle Wiki and Auntie Toad never succeeded to those shares, but they've all passed on too. So it's, down to my generation. So in the day, I think me and my brothers, we have a grand total of, I think, 2 shares each. But that's a good example, it shows the shares are actually held in the name of my grandmother. Now, Tiaria is not of Ngati Paeakau descent. She's from Ngati Wāhiau Tūhaurangi ki whakarewarewa. But that she has inherited those shares. She could have, after Grandpa Waihana died, but I think we've seen this in some of the shareholdings that the spouse who was not of the descent of kohi married may well have married a Pākehā. The Pākehā then may have inherited those shares, and that Pākehā could have married another Pākehā and had children, and those shares could then illegally pass on to those children, which means they're now in the hands, control solely of Pākehā. That's one of the reasons. I just don't believe the fact that you own 0.00 something, a postage stamp of some land, gives you the rights of belonging to our hapu. But anyway, I'm not prepared to die in a ditch over that. That's, the hapu as a whole, we can all sort out at some stage. I just don't subscribe to the philosophy that just because you are a shareholder in some of those land blocks makes you necessarily a member of the hapu these days. Now, the Whitianga Marae Committee. The original Marae Committee was established, so I understand, back in the 1960s by the generation of kohi and ngārore's grandchildren, under the watchful eyes of grandpas Hiki and Paula, Daddy Pa. And most of them were haukainga, though some of them were primarily living in the Potiki and Kawerau. And that committee ensured that the marae was looked after, with the work being done mostly by the haukainga rangatahi of the day, people like Blythe. I guess Whiripare, not that she would ever want to be called rangatahi these days, but once upon a time she was. And the elders also established a bank account to fund the maintenance of the marae. That committee was disbanded around about 2011 on the establishment of the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust. The disbandment of that committee was by order of the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust. And at the time of disbandment, I believe the chairman of the Marae Committee was Sonny Rogers, and the treasurer, I think, was Leslie McLean. However, it is my opinion that back in 2011, the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust had no legal authority to make such an order. But anyway, the Marae Committee hasn't really been functioning since 2011. But despite the unfortunate conflicts that have gone on for the last 10 years or so, many of those involved with that committee are still carrying out the works of supporting events such as Tangihana. The bank account is under the authority and control of Blythe Rogers. That account, I understand, has several $1,000s and has been subject of dispute with the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust. Now, the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust, it was established on the 27th of February 2011 at a hui held at Whitianga Marae, and was subsequently registered with Charity Services in April 2011, 5th of April. Now, like many others of the hapu, in fact, probably the great majority of us, given there's probably 2,000 to 3,000 of us, I was not in attendance at the hui. I had no idea it was even on. And no one made me aware that the purpose of that hui was to effectively remove and replace the trustees of Whitianga 9B1 Tutawake meeting house. Now, according to Charity Services, I better move down my slide. The current trustees, that's for the Marae Charitable Trust, that's Paul Delamere, Monita Delamere, Con Jones, Andrea Tai, Te Rangi Martel, Margaret Robson, and Tangiora, Maputohiariki. The hapu chair, who is hapu chair? Well, Paul claims to be the hapu chair on the basis, I believe, that he's chair of the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust. Now, I'm not opposed at all to Paul being chair of the hapu, but I don't believe he has a legal basis for being chair of an organization that has authority and control over Whitianga 9B1, the land, Tutawake Meeting House land, because the original committee was approved by the Māori Land Court. You can't have a meeting and form a charitable trust under the Charity Services Act and use that to replace a committee that's been anointed, mandated, and approved by the Māori Land Court. If you want to do that, you then have to seek approval by the Māori Land Court. And to my knowledge, that doesn't appear to have been done. If I'm wrong, believe me, you'll get my apologies, but certainly if I'm wrong, it is not showing up on the online Māori Land Court register. But anyway, what do? We need to have a single entity that oversees the affairs of our hapu. And I have no problem for that entity to be the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust, but not in its current operational format or structure. Because in my opinion, that trust, that structure is pretty much dysfunctional in terms of its own deed of trust. And I also note that the management administration of the Whitianga land blocks, all those land blocks, 1 to 17, appear to be pretty much non-existent in many cases. And I would like to see that fixed up, if at all possible. So how do we do that? Well, I think we need to arrange a series of hui meetings throughout the motu, not just Whitianga Marae. When you just have Whitianga Marae, no one turns up. It's just too hard for many people to get there. But with technology, as we've seen when Paul started 2 or 3 weeks ago with his first Zoom session, we can have meetings online. But we should have physical face-to-face meetings at Whitianga Marae, Potiki, Whakatane, Rotorua, Hamilton, Tauranga, Auckland, Wellington, Gisborne, Napier, Hastings, Christchurch, Sydney, Brisbane, maybe some other places. All of those meetings should go through these issues, record the meetings, have them run live so we all have the chance to tune in. And that way we know everyone is getting involved. Now, the most important thing, as I've said a number of times before, is the hapu register. That register is what makes us a functioning hapu. We've made a start. You know, it's currently being driven by Ria Phillips, Paul's daughter. And if our hapu of Ngati Paeakau is to survive, grow, and prosper, the creation and maintaining of a hapu register, I think is the most crucial thing that we need to do. I also believe, ideally, all the land blocks should come under the management of the reformed entity. You know, we should set up a committee of qualified people who have backgrounds where they could oversee the management of those land blocks. To have a whole bunch of land blocks with a whole bunch of different trustees, many of whom don't have the skills, many of whom are dead, for God's sake. You know, if we can bring them, you know, somehow bring them all under one umbrella, I think that's what we should do. No one can get rich owning shares in those land blocks. Our individual shareholdings are minuscule. So I would like to see as an objective that we bring all those land blocks under one management structure entity, where any revenues that are generated for the benefit of the marae and the hapu as a whole. So I'd like to see us design and set up an operational structure for a functioning entity to oversee and manage the affairs of Ngati Paeakau, Whitianga Marae, Tokota Urapa, and of the many land blocks. Now, my suggestions are as follows. The Trustees Committee, now that's all we have at the moment. It's a committee of 8. Not that they ever turn up at meetings, all of them. But I believe we still need, if you like, an overarching committee. And I believe the primary role of that Trustees Committee should be to review the operations of the various other committees of the Whitianga Marae Charitable Trust, and then decide on major issues if and when they crop up. You know, having trustees deal with mowing the bloody lawns, working out, you know, who's going to be the priest at a tanga, whatever, that's not their role, okay? They should be above all that. Now, I'd like to see a marae committee reformed under the umbrella of the overall trust. But that committee should be made up of primarily of haukainga, and their role will be to oversee the maintenance of the marae, its building and events, such as tangihanga, wānanga, maybe kapahaka, and they should be funded. But it should be open and transparent. The Hapu Register Committee, I do not want to see the register being hijacked by a single person. You know, things can go wrong when that happens, not deliberately, but one person, you're exposed. There needs to be a committee. The register needs to belong lawfully. We need a document, make sure that register belongs to the Marae Charitable Trust Committee. But we need a separate committee to create it, maintain it for the hapu. And also doing that, we can also create properly the whakapapa of our hapu. A kaumātua tikanga committee. Now, the reality is all those kaumātua that I remember, that my generation remembers, they've all passed on, okay? Their knowledge, if it wasn't taken down, is lost. The people who have that knowledge are few and far between. Paul does, Whiripare does, Hina Tapuro does, Blythe does. But you know, most of my generation, we don't actually have that knowledge. We were never told it when you know, when I was growing up. So just because you have reached that age where people say you are kaumātua doesn't mean you have a great depth of cultural knowledge, tikanga knowledge. So on that committee, while kaumātua obviously should be on it, there are younger people who actually have a greater depth of knowledge, and they should be on it as well. And they don't need to meet that often. I mean, tikanga doesn't change overnight. So amazingly, we do need them to meet right now because of the effects of COVID-19. Perhaps our tinga has changed forever, as it has for not just Māori. Now, a legal committee. We have lawyers, we have people with legal knowledge, legal experience, and we need to have a legal committee that can review things, such as the agreement in principle that was dumped on us back last June. 100 pages of legalese, couple of days to look at it and work it out. Sorry, that's a load of crap. We need to have our own legal committee where they can go away and review it, and they can come back and make recommendations to us. And of course, they're not just there for the treaty, they're there for other issues as well. But we have that expertise. For God's sake, let's use it. A funding and events committee. Okay, I'm very keen on this one. For our hapu to grow and prosper, we need to have a regular hapu events other than kangihana. Events that are fun and they can be used to raise funds for the marae. They don't have to be held at Whitianga. In fact, they're unlikely to be held at Whitianga. People live elsewhere. We have hundreds of hapu members living in Auckland. So what I'd like to propose right now is that once we're out of lockdown and we're free to travel, that we look at having a hapu weekend, probably in January, at a facility like the Newland Stadium or Glen Eden Saramco Park, where we can have sports events for the kids, even kaumātua, three-legged race or whatever. Whanau barbecue, and in the evening we have Whanau entertainment. We've got a lot of really switched on, brilliant entertainers in the hapu. So we can do those things, whether they're in Auckland, Hamilton, Wellington, Sydney, whatever. And at those events, we can then also raise funds for our marae. And we need a communications internet committee. It is technology that is going to allow our hapu to, one, survive, to grow, and to prosper. And we've got people with the necessary computer, social media, design skills, where they can design, manage, and maintain Ngati Paeakau's presence on the internet. I want to see a dedicated Ngati Paeakau website established, an official Ngati Paeakau social media presence, such as platforms as Facebook. Don't really want to have half a dozen different Ngati Paeakau Tutawake Facebook groups because someone's got their nose bent out of joint and goes creates their own one. We have a single official one, then we can get the word out there and everyone knows where to go for our hapu. They can manage video communications where we use platforms such as Zoom, what I'm using right now. And of course, maintaining on our site our membership register, working in conjunction with the register committee. So anyway, whānau, this is who we are. Ngā rori and kohi. Whakapapa comes down from kohi because ngā rori is te whakatohea. So hopefully this has been useful, and hopefully it's a step forward that we will have a vital hapu and marae that's living, breathing with great vitality, with a great future, and where we all work together instead of the underlying bickering and conflicts we have at the moment. So no reira, e mihi nia kia outou.